Welcome to Let's Talk About It, a podcast that gives a platform for real talk, real stories, real people, real topics, real conversations. Welcome to the show. Enjoy the journey. Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk About It, a podcast to give a platform for real talk, real topics, real people, real conversation every day. Today, I have a nice little special guest today. It's a young man that I have known for like a few years. He's coming on here to talk about his journey. He has a very special journey, from baseball in the baseball community. Now, I'm going to actually explain this pretty much. His baseball from youth to high school to college to the pro ranks to he's being a writer today. He's into philosophy. Now, the reason why I want to bring this young man on, there's a lot of stereotypes out there in the young community. This young man is going to prove them wrong, and he has a very interesting story up and down. So I'm going to introduce my man that I've been knowing for a long, long time. He played with my son, Jamil Vanheyningen. Jamil, what's going on, dog?
What's up, man? Appreciate the nice intro, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I met this young man. Actually, I heard about this young man. I think like when my son, I think he was like 15 or I think like 15. He came home from a tournament. Matter of fact, it was like a tryout. I forgot, you might remember it. It's like the area code.
That's exactly what it
thing.
was. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he was like, man, Dad, yo, I met this guy, man. He's like tall, he good as he throw hard as he throw like 1,000 miles an hour. Right. So I was like, wait a minute, how hard does he really throw? It said they had him clocked at like 100 miles an hour. I was like, what? So I'm like, well, wait a minute, you guys were 16 that time, right?
Yeah, about 16.
Yeah, it was like you guys, it was up there in
16 or
Massachusetts.
17. Yeah, it was because it was a summer going into our senior year, I think. That's usually when that is, right? The area code stuff.
Yeah, around there.
So yeah, like
okay.
17. Yeah.
All right, so we gonna get into all this later on. Now, we talked briefly, right? We got a little guideline to follow for you, right? Because I want everybody to learn your story. You have a very interesting story. A young man in this world, very positive, good role model. I'll tell you right now, you are a good role model for the youth out there. And you're going to explain this to me, everybody. First and foremost, right, you grew up in Newark, New Jersey, right?
Yes, I did.
All right. So tell me how that experience, if you don't mind, how was it like growing up in Newark?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's like you see a lot of different like first of all, I'm like very fortunate to have grown up there because you meet people just from about everywhere, like
Really?
everywhere, white, black, Portuguese, all the Latin countries, all the like Arabic speaking, all like everywhere. So that was cool. And I think that's the reason why like I'm able to get along with people because I like to get meet people on their terms, and I'm not really that judgmental because like I said, I've always had different kinds of friends growing up, so that's always been natural to me. But it's tough.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a big city, and it's super. I mean, Jersey in general, is like very densely populated. Like it's everybody basically living on top. I think it's the second densely populated state in the country, but Newark is that, like, and living in apartments and people above you, below you, all that kind of thing, and it was
Really?
wild. And we like moved around a lot too. Like I think we lived probably like in 10 different apartments like when I lived in North. Yeah. It was like, yeah, about every year or every other year stuff. It was like pack it up next, that kind of thing.
I got you.
But but it was, yeah, I mean, I don't regret a thing from it. I think when it comes to like the trouble you hear about and stuff, obviously you can get unlucky, wrong place, wrong time, but for the
Yeah.
most part, you can stay away from that stuff, and I think like baseball was the number one thing that helped me stay away from it. I was always at the field, always with my friends at the field from, sun up to sundown, which I don't really think like people really do that anymore, like especially
Okay.
us, me and Brandon and my brother and stuff kind of caught the beginning of it, but like now everything's like showcase, travel ball, and like kids don't really go to the field just to, play around. Or even you want to talk about even like the more affluent communities, like they're basically just like training their kids from the young age, and like all the baseball they know is either training or game. They don't really like get to play around like with their friends and just go out there and play pickup. Like we didn't have enough obviously to play like 9 versus 9, so we would play like pickup games where it was like we wouldn't use first base, we just play second, third home, that kind of thing, and just use the left side of the field. So stuff like that. And that was like so ingrained in me. And now like I've never ever seen like people like kids playing that. So it's just crazy.
Oh, I love that right now, man. Now you say you have a brother. Now I don't know how many people know this. Like you're a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like now your brother Jermaine. Right now, I was wondering who's taller.
It's gone back and forth. I think he's a little taller right now. Like last we checked, because when we got into pro ball, I think like he measured like a half an inch taller, something like that. Yeah.
So what? So you're if I can remember, you're 6'6", right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, 6'6", bro, big six. All right. Do you like? How would you even got started in baseball? Like as a youth, like did they go with t-ball, like coach pitch, little league, whatever, right?
Yeah, so what it was is I remember I don't remember a lot of like when I was super young, but the baseball part is so clear to me. So when
Okay.
ever since I could, stand and hold the bat and all that, we were always like I was talking about like playing, whether it was just like with family, dad, uncle, that kind of stuff. But we never like
Yeah.
I know for a fact we skipped T-ball and we would just like do that kind of playing where just coach pitch kind of thing. And then when
Okay.
we got to coach pitch, that's all we did. Like I had never hit a ball off of a tee till like it came time to like 13, 14, like when those were drills we did. Like I never really hit off of it like when I was young kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, so it was like, and I think I don't know. To me, T-ball doesn't really make much sense to me. I would rather
Okay.
done like if I have a kid or something, like I would rather him do what I did and just like start off with even I think wiffle ball like is probably more beneficial than the T-ball part of it.
Okay.
If I had to choose,
Well, I
but
tell you, man. Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
tell you, T-ball was, how this T-ball, like, no, the parents get together, they're having fun with the kids. Now, your buddy, man, Brandon, he was a T-ball. He was terrible, bro. It's terrible. I didn't think he was even going to make it. Seriously. I
is
mean, it was that bad. I was gonna throw his ass in soccer somewhere because he was terrible with T-ball.
it's funny. It's funny you say that because like we were like I say it like we like that gave us like a huge edge. Like we were pretty bad up till we were like I say 9 or 10. Like
Really?
yeah, yeah. And I have like a really good friend that like he stays with us time to time, like super close, and he's known us
Yeah.
since like we started playing baseball the very first year,
Okay.
and still close now. And he always like at least like one time every time we meet up, he talks about like, it's crazy how bad you guys were like when we first started playing or whatever. Like I never would have thought like this is what you turned into. But I mean that's what happens when you're at the field every day and all that and really
I got you, brother.
love it,
I
man.
got you. Now I know, right? You played like like a lot of youth baseball, right? You probably played like some little travel when you was younger and all like that. Because I know you say you went to high school at Seton Hall Prep, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's why.
Okay. Now, what made you go to Seton Hall Prep?
So it's back to the whole North Park because we lived in North till we were like me and Jermaine, that is, were like 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly the age, but it was in
Yeah.
our sophomore year. In the middle of our sophomore year, we moved to West Orange, which is where Seton Hall Prep is. And The reason we went to Seton Hall Prep is just because to get away from the public school scene in Newark, like my mom just didn't really feel comfortable having us there.
Yeah.
And she wanted us to, experience kind of that whole kind of other side of like,
Yeah.
I was going to school with kids that, I wouldn't live around and stuff. And there was a handful of kids from Newark that I knew, which is cool. But like for the most part, it's all pretty well off, like families and stuff, which was like, it's like that saying, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, trust me.
Because like it's
Yeah.
you hear some stuff people say, and it's funny, man, like looking back now, like, because like I said, we lived, like, growing up, like we lived in apartments, all that, like the whole time.
Yeah.
And then the idea of like owning a house and living in it, really, like, that was like, I didn't even realize that like, I knew people, you know what I mean, people have houses, but like,
Yeah.
I didn't really know anybody who owned one and stuff like that. And just little things like that was just like, damn, I guess this is
Wow.
different.
Okay, so you came from, all right, so you left Newark to go to South Orange, right?
West Orange.
North Orange, right?
West Orange.
West Orange. So
Yeah.
I think Seton Hall University is like right near there too, right?
It's literally from our high school, it's like a mile and a half. Like, you could walk there if you really wanted to, like in under an hour kind of thing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how big of a transition was that for you and your brother going from Newark to this prep school?
As
How
far as
was
the
that for
school
you?
part or the baseball part?
Let's start with the school part first, and then you go into baseball.
The school part was, I don't think it was as big a change because the middle school we went to was Science
Yeah,
Park High School, and like that's
yeah,
like the top academic like high school, because what it was like a sort of special program for like all the top students in each elementary school, like
yeah.
kind of got to take placement tests to get into this middle school at Science
Gotcha.
Park. And then
Got
we
it.
got into there, and like that was tough. I remember it being tough. So the transition wasn't as difficult because I'm sure they still do, they took like school very seriously at that middle school we were at.
Yeah.
So then once we got to high school, it wasn't as big a transition on the school side academically and all that.
So I'm assuming you was a straight A student.
Not straight. So
A and B.
yeah, A and B. Yeah, like
Got it.
maybe the rare C, but yeah, A and B pretty much.
Bro, when I was your age, I used to pray for C's, man. Like a C was an A for me, man. I tell you. Listen, go on my story back at day, and man, right? A C was an A for me. I used to get D's and E's. You never heard of E's? That's what I used to get. Yeah, I mean, I used to get E's. You know what I'm saying? So you actually lucky on this. All right, so you got the Seton Hall, right? So like, I'm assuming you already played travel, and you probably played your middle school. You probably play some travel teams. Okay, that's great. How was the whole high school baseball experience? Like, let's talk about like your freshman and sophomore year. How was that for you?
Okay, so actually I had never played travel up till then, like
No,
up to high
okay,
school. Nah, like the travel we played, it was kind of travel, the RBI, RBI.
yeah. I know that. Yeah,
So we played that, but that was the only, I'm trying to remember, but no, we just played that. And then we play like in one big tournament in, I don't know if Brandon ever went to Baseball Heaven, Long Island.
he was supposed to, but then I bailed out. But I didn't feel like driving up there.
Yeah. So that was like the one big tournament that we did like in that North team. But other than that, I never played travel. So it definitely was different, like the competition, just like the people I played with like in Newark, and then the people play with at high school, because like fundamentally they were like a lot cleaner, like when
Okay,
it came to fielding form, all that, batting mechanics, all that stuff. But so freshman year we played freshman ball,
okay.
played on the freshman team, and then sophomore year we got on the varsity team, and then we played from then on.
Oh, aren't
Yeah,
you Mr. Special? Right to varsity. Okay.
yeah,
All right. So let me ask you this, right? So when you met my son, the area code, he was like 15, 16, right?
right. Yeah.
So colleges and everybody else was probably looking at you, right? When did that start? That when you was like freshman, sophomore around the area, or
So it
before that?
started freshman, sophomore with like the Jersey schools and like the smaller schools, and then obviously Seton Hall, since our head coach at Seton Hall Prep, his
Yeah.
brother is the head coach at Seton Hall University. So like he had seen us like from young and all that ever since. And then all the local schools, like I said. But then when we first started playing travel ball and traveling, I'd say that definitely picked up. And then playing varsity also catches up. And just it helps too to have like good teammates. And
Okay.
when like Seton Hall Prep, we had a few guys from that team go. A good amount of guys go D1 on any given team that I was on that on varsity there, and then.
Okay.
But when we started playing with like Brandon, that team, and then doing the area codes and stuff like that, then it's pretty much up to you. Like
All right. So tell me, when you was that age, right? If you can remember, how did it feel like getting all these colleges, right? Like communicating with you, like they probably was getting with you, your mom, and stuff like that. Now, how did you feel at that time?
it, honestly, like I'd like to say that it was awesome and it felt cool, but like not that I didn't care, but it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like you don't know what you don't know. Like some of these schools are really, really good schools. And
Yeah,
since all I grew up, I only really followed MLB and Pro Bowl and all that growing up. Emulating all those
yeah,
guys. I knew nothing about college because back to what's around you in Newark, I didn't know nobody who went to college or who went away. And if they did, it was like a Jersey school, and then occasionally it'd be a school here, school there. But like I'd have schools like talking to me, and in hindsight, I look back like, oh damn, that was a really good school. And at the time, I was just like, oh, whatever. Like if it wasn't one of the like SEC schools, like I didn't really know what they were about. I didn't know like which of the coaches were good too. And I caught up eventually, like by the time I was playing like with Brandon, like 16, 17. But it sometimes it's just like damn, like I wonder, not that I would change anything, but it's just interesting, like because like I said, it didn't really feel like anything crazy at the time.
okay. So at that age, did you hear from me? Like what was your first experience like? Did you even get contact and have interest by like a pro team when you was in high school?
Towards the end, yeah, it was a few teams, like it was mainly the Rangers, were the team, like they did the like at home visit, whatever,
Okay.
and then came out to a few games, and then there was like three other teams, and I can't remember those as well, just because the interest wasn't as
So
great. But
I got you.
yeah, yeah, that was about
All
it.
right. So overall, your high school experience, at Seton Hall Prep, like what would you grade that? Like, how was that overall?
It was awesome. I'd say a B plus, and the only reason I'd not give it like an A was like I wish I could have like kept hitting for as long as possible. Uh, and then like me and my brother, like, cause I thought, I mean, not I thought, I know for a fact I could have hit in that lineup. So
Yeah.
it just I love baseball so much as just like a player. I didn't think about myself as like a pitcher, shortstop, or whatever. Like I just like to play baseball, put me wherever. Like that was my mindset. Like I just wanted to play
Okay.
every day, kind of thing. And like when that
All
got
right. All right.
taken, I took it in stride and whatever. And like obviously I understand like what like the coaches were seeing, like when they made that decision, like saying like this is where your highest upside is. So try to focus on that like now, whatever, blah blah. But I don't know. I think it's too early at like 15 or 16 to decide to be a pitcher only, in my opinion. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So when high school was done, right? You
Mhm.
graduated, or you probably made the decision. You decided to go to Campbell University. In what's that? Blues Creek, North Carolina.
Booze
right?
Creek.
Yes. So you leave in Jersey to go to Booze or Booze Creek, North Carolina. Like, how did Campbell get in the mix, and what made you? Because you and your brother went there. So why'd you even go to Campbell? What was that decision factor for you?
It was a combination of a lot of things. They showed a lot of really good interest. The the package was pretty good, like scholarship, all that, which is tough when it's especially like knowing like we wanted to go together ideally out of high school
Yeah,
to a school, especially because you know the way scholarships work is there's only a certain amount of like spots, like scholarship spots. It's not really just a big
yeah,
pool and they can give. So for it to take up two spots out of like I think it's like 11 point something
yeah.
scholarship spots.
Eleven point
So
seven.
yeah, so you think about it, that's 2 out of 12, you know, that's 1/6 of their that's a lot. Um
Yeah,
and and so that made the decision easier. The You could tell that the program was continuously increasing with all the money that they were pouring into like the facilities, the equipment, all that. Visit was nice. Like the layout they had for us, like what they wanted us to do, like with our development. That
yeah.
was really important, obviously. Yeah,
Okay,
just in general, it was. I don't really think anybody else was close in terms of like the total package.
okay. Now I'm gonna back up a little bit because I want you to tell me because everybody's talking about this. Like, when was the first time you threw 100 miles an hour, and and was that the fastest you ever thrown?
So, um, I'm trying to think when the first time was. So it depends, cause like for me and my brother, like we used to train over in BioPitch in South Jersey. And where were they at the time? Manasquan, I think.
Yeah.
Or there was like a few different spots, but
Okay.
the and there they I don't know what the philosophy exactly is now, but like there was a lot of like pull downs and that kind of thing at the time.
Yeah.
And uh with that, like we were always like top, like put us against anybody like on the planet in that. And obviously that doesn't always translate to pitching. So it took a while.
Yeah.
So like I was up to like 103 on a pull down, and my brother was like 107 something on a pull down. But
Oh,
like on the mound, like we were only like in the 90s kind of thing.
okay.
So it took us a while. It took like adding some weight, fixing the mechanics a little bit to get to the 100 on the mound.
Whew.
And then I don't know about my brother, but the 100 on the mound for me didn't come till like into college. My freshman year.
Okay.
That's
All
when it
right.
came.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So let's get to your freshman year. I'm just an outsider.
Mhm.
So, and I've observed a lot of things. Like, how was that for you your freshman year?
The
You can
baseball
disclose
experience and stuff.
whatever you want to disclose or don't want to disclose. How was your freshman year?
No, there was no. I mean, it was nothing like personal. Like I am like a super like. I mean, you could like tell from what I write and how I write. Like I'm a super. I need to know like what's going on. I need to know that this is the right thing. And a lot of people aren't like that. Some people are like, tell me what to do, I'll do it. But I need to know like what's going on, why I'm doing this. And that didn't always align. And that wasn't it always didn't make sense to me. And a
Right.
lot of coaches don't like that. They
Yep.
kind of want you to be the other guy to just do things, and if you ask
Yeah.
why, you know,
Mhm.
it's but so I think that was a big thing, and it was a different pitching coach and recruited us, and just stuff like that just made it
Yeah.
weird. But like at the end of the day, like it was me. Like I could have performed a lot better, and that's pretty much the I think the way I respond to like each stop I made. Like I could have performed better. Like
Okay.
flat out,
So
that's the way I look at it.
Okay, so at this point, you and your brother came down, but then it didn't work out there. So you both transferred. You went to College of Central Florida. How did that come about? Let me try to guess it because I don't know if people know this or not. When you transfer out, if you go to another 4-year college, you have to sit out a year.
Yeah, well now you
For
don't.
to Oh, now okay. Well, back in the day, because I remember because Brandon did the same thing. You had to sit out a year.
Hmm.
A lot of kids will go to junior college, keep on playing, so then at the following year, the junior year, they can keep on going. But
Hmm.
how did you and your brother or basically you decide to go to College of Central Florida?
Um, Back to the reason why I left Campbell, I wanted to
Yeah.
find a program that was proven, like where the pitching coach had proven that he knows like the intricate parts of pitching and
Okay.
use that knowledge to try to put together a plan to get me to where I wanted to be, performance wise. And unfortunately, it didn't end up working out. It was like a
Gotcha.
super competitive team.
Mhm.
Like there was, I think, one guy that wasn't 90 plus, and he was a sidearm guy. So it was just, and not on and the guys could pitch. I think that year there was a few draft picks. There was like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and then the
Good team.
underclassmen, and yeah, a couple guys after that got drafted the next year,
Yep.
and there's guys still in pro ball on that team now, and it was crazy. So it was just that combination of things. I couldn't figure it out in time, and it was just inconsistency.
Okay.
So then we didn't end up making the cut there, and then went to Florence Darlington.
Oh wow. So all right, that's pretty. So you went from Campbell to Central Florida. It didn't happen. So, like you told me, you went to Florence Darlington,
Yep,
right?
Florence, South Carolina.
That's in South Carolina. How was that experience?
I loved it there. It was I just got hurt and couldn't I think I threw 1 or 2 innings. I was just had bad shoulder issues that spring.
Okay.
But so I only did a semester there because since I had thrown my freshman year, I couldn't really redshirt. And
Yeah.
since I had thrown that spring, tried to throw and then ended up not being able to redshirt.
Okay.
I had burned
Okay.
the two years or whatever that you need to be a JUCO guy. So
Okay.
I ended up, mm, yeah, I ended up not really having options that I enjoyed or liked. So I just ended up taking a gap year after that. But yeah, the experience in general in
Mhm.
Florence was awesome. Great coaching staff, competitive baseball, all that. It was fun. Um,
So you know what? I'm gonna ask you a question because that's a lot for a young man to take. Going from Campbell to Florida. You basically went from North Carolina to Florida to South Carolina. Within what, like a year and a half, 2 years, right?
yeah.
I guess. If you can remember, how was your mental? You know, going from this school to that school and this school. How was your mental? And did you have any support at that time? Did anybody talk to you? And how were you feeling? How was you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I get along with a lot of people. So people would see whether it was performance struggling or if I'm sitting there not being able to pitch, people would come and they would say stuff oh, you're just keep working on little stuff here and there. But
Yeah.
I don't I don't think I really needed anything like that because I was gonna keep playing.
Nice.
My resolve was I was gonna keep playing till I figure it out or till it becomes clear that this is not what I should be doing anymore. And
Love
that
it.
that's how I go about everything, with the writing now, and I think that baseball being such a hard sport, I don't care you play basketball, football, whatever, baseball, there's so much you can't control, and
Yeah.
you only have a certain amount of throws in you or practice reps in you to get things right. versus like,
Yeah.
you know, basketball, you could be Kobe and lock yourself in the gym and you're going to get better. Football, you get bigger, faster, stronger. You're going to be a better player. But baseball, man,
Yeah.
there's something about that, like that is just, it's so
The
tough.
mental edge.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah,
So,
no,
so,
but I was
have you
never in
always
like
been
a super dark place.
okay? Have you always been like this mentally strong?
I think so because I think it helps that I, like I said, I failed a lot early, like in like when come college, like in baseball, and it there's like a quote by Mariano Rivera, like that like you have to, as a closer, and I heard this like early on, and he's talking about how as a closer you have to have a short memory, like you could get the save tonight, feel happy, but tomorrow, you know, they're gonna expect you to do it again and again and again. I mean, he did it 600 something times. They don't care about how many times you've got the save in the past. You got to get it tonight.
I love
So
it.
that's the mindset I try to have with everything. Just get the job done today. And you know, if you shit the bed, then you know you got to erase that and do your job tomorrow. If you do great, doesn't matter. You got to do it again tomorrow. And that's kind of the
I
mindset I try
love
to
this
have.
mentality, man. There's not that many young men that have a strong mentality like you. Seriously, not that many young men in this world. Not that many I've met. And I know when people see this episode, they were like, that's a strong young man right there." So let me get to this right. So after Florence, you took a gap year. What do you do? Like, explain to people what a gap year is.
Yeah. So gap year is just a year you're not in school, um, and you're not taking any classes either. That's like the big part because that can kind of mess up academic eligibility and stuff, and kind of throw you off track when it comes like if you want to keep playing, and you've graduated, it messes a lot of things up. So yeah, you're not taking any classes, no, you're training by yourself or you know whatever facility you go to, and that kind of thing. And for me, the big thing was get healthy first, which didn't take that long, and then the just try to get to a point to where like I could show teams, you know, that I was healthy and that I was worth, you know, adding to their team. I don't know.
Okay. Now you told me you went to PBA.
Yeah,
What's PBA?
Palm Beach Atlantic.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. I don't really know the story. I've heard stories, but I want to hear your view. How was it at Palm Beach Atlantic, and what
Not
happened?
fun.
I
Not
mean, if
fun.
you
It
want to
was
share, if you
just
don't want to share.
yeah, no, I don't mind. Like I'm not like gonna bash anybody or anything, but like I
Yeah.
can be honest about it. It just wasn't like first of all, you know how it is. It's never fun when you're not winning. And we were not I don't think we won a game till like it was bad. Like it was bad.
Oh
And
my God.
uh because I know for a fact we got swept our first two series. It might have been like an 8 game losing streak to start the year, something like that. And it seemed like
Oh wow.
nobody could get it going. Like it was tough. But it just felt like the difference between there and the other three schools I went to is like
Yeah.
those three schools had a ton of talent and people who wanted to play at the next level. PBA had none of that.
Got it.
And that I just can't I don't know like why we're here. Like if you know what I mean, if you're not trying to take to the next level, people are satisfied with their scholarship, paying for their education, and that's fine. But like I don't relate to that. It's like so foreign to me. If I wanted to get a scholarship, I would have, you know, hit the books and got A pluses in every class and went to MIT or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I got you. Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot different route that I would went to. And because you think about it, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, because baseball, you got to put a lot into it, even to get to that D2 level. Because that was like, even though we weren't like, we didn't play well, it's still the Sunshine Conference, which is like the top D2 conference in the country with Tampa and Rollins. And, you know, national
Yeah. It was good.
champion is
Yeah.
probably coming from that
Yeah.
division, like per D2.
Got it.
So, um, the But what I'm saying is the work you have to do to get there to earn that scholarship or whatever, or that spot on that team,
Okay.
is like hours and hours every day of practicing and training. So if your job was, if you wanted to just get a scholarship or whatever, why not just like use those hours and go study some more and like, you know what I mean? Like that's a personal thing. Now people could do what they want or
I
whatever,
got
obviously.
you. I got you.
But yeah, it just wasn't fun just because we weren't winning. The 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 practices and stuff were a little weird. Um but it just wasn't, or maybe not weird, maybe some people, I'm sure some people enjoyed it, it
I
just wasn't what I
I
needed
got
at
you.
the time. And
I
then
got
I was like an older guy there too, so I was a little over like college ball at the time. And
I
yeah,
got you. I
man.
got you. You know, I'm kind of curious, right? This is this is the fourth school, right? Um,
Hmm.
the overall education, right? So, did everything transfer from school to school to school? Did you like overall finish, or you had to start
No,
over
no, no,
again?
no, 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 no. So that's part of the reason I went to PBA too, because, or went D2 in general. Um,
Okay.
I so at Florence Darlington, it's Florence Darlington Tech, so it's a tech school, and a lot of those classes, not a lot, some of them didn't transfer to 4 years,
Oh,
and come time like I was, and I didn't end up getting my AA, which is the 2 year degree.
that's cool.
So it kind of messed things up because you need that or a certain amount of credits or whatever to go to the D1. For some reason, you need, it's a different qualification for D1 than D2 and D3, like transferring from 4 year, 424 is what it's called, 4 year, 2 year, 4 year. So it was weird. I couldn't go to a D1 because I wasn't eligible academically. So that's why I went D2. But yeah, so no, not everything transferred. There was a lot of classes I took basically for no reason. Like,
Oh my goodness! But you still got
yeah.
your associates, though. That's a good thing.
No, no, no. I did.
Now,
That's what I'm saying. I fell short like
oh, you
three
fell
credits
short.
because, yeah, because of that like little hiccup in the like, yeah. And
Ah, dude.
it was weird because one of them was like a speech class, and like one of them was like I forget
What?
what yeah, it was a speech class or something, and it was just, by the time I had found out, I could have been able to take one like the summer going into my third, like into the year PBA or whatever, or no, the gap
Okay.
year or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
those classes had started already, so I was too late for the registration because I didn't know that I was that 3 credits. So it was a whole thing.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, bro. All right, so you went through there. I know you went through training and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
So you went to a place called Tread Athletics
Hmm.
to get your training in, but you went to go train. So how did you get to the pro ranks? Because I
Yeah.
know you
So it's
said
through
like
there.
you signed with the White
Yeah.
Sox.
So I trained remotely with Tread. Me and my brother were doing it at the same time. We basically came to the same decision. Like because I never got any degree actually. Because if you count it up, I only did the 3 years of school, with the gap year
Gotcha.
in there.
Yeah.
But it was such a bad experience my last year, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do because I got progressively worse my last year. Like that's
Really?
how, yeah, and that's like the big reason why I didn't go back. It was to the point to where like I'm sure I could have handled it differently, but like because like my first semester there, whatever, the school was fine, A's, B's, but I was just not like, there was one day, like I said, I had to redo a lot of freshman level classes my last year at PBA, like my year at PBA, and I'm
Yeah.
like 22 at the time. So I'm in class like with like kids that are 18, sometimes 17, like in these intro level classes. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, just, it was crazy. Like some of the stuff
Whew.
like kids are saying, like just like the maturity level is different, obviously.
Okay.
And like I remember there, so I ended up like a couple weeks into the semester, basically burning the bridge that I was like, I'm not coming back no matter what. Like this season, I'm either gonna have to, get drafted, or I'm gonna drop out, or have to drop out and train and sign that way. But I'm not coming back to school no matter what. So I ended up like, I didn't go to any classes after like the first couple weeks into that last semester.
Wow.
That was a
Oh
decision
my
I
God.
made. And I remember the moment that happened was I was in a class, like I said, freshman level class, whatever. And it was a communications class. I was a communications major my last year. And
Okay.
the teacher, as a game and how like misinformation spreads, is that he had us play the game telephone that you play when you're a kid. And then I was just like sitting there. I thought he was joking. We ended up playing the game, walked out the class, and nobody ever saw me at a class ever again. That was like the final straw, like kind of thing. I had
Wow.
teachers emailing me and stuff. I was just like, yeah, no, it was crazy.
So all right. So you went through that one. You went to training, right? So what was you
Yeah.
like? How'd you get signed by the White Sox? Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
what was
So
the
so we trained like from whenever, like I said, I'd done a PBA that summer, played summer ball,
yeah.
then started training with tread, and so that would have been like August, I think, up to January or February. I can't remember which one. They had a pro day at the tread facility. So we
Okay.
drove up there, um, threw, and then I threw good stuff. Like velo was good, all that, especially for the time of year. And a couple teams reached out, and then it ended up being the White Sox that signed me. Well, my brother ended up actually signing a week before that with the Reds,
Okay.
but yeah, so he didn't end up throwing in that. But yeah,
So you
so
got you and
that
your brother within a week. He signed with the Cincinnati Reds. You signed with Chicago White Sox. Like, let me ask you a question. How did mom feel about that?
awesome. I mean, it was like you think about like just the all the stops I made and having to say, oh well, I'm transferring here now because of this and that, and then finally like that hurdles crossed of like pro ball, and then it was just like she's super excited about it and all that, and honestly, more like it seemed like she was more relieved than anything that like the hard work like had paid off in some way over the years, and the grinding through like a lot of failure. So
I like that. I like that. So, but you told me you finally made it, but something happened in spring training.
yeah, yeah, like it was, I think it was like 2 days after spring training ended. So then extended spring training started. And
Yeah.
that's where I was to start the year. And my first appearance out there, or it might have even been like a scrimmage before the actual extended spring training started. So I threw a pitch, whatever. Catcher throws it down, and like, obviously I got to get out the way. So I like shuffled over to my left. And when my right foot landed, I just felt like a crunch there, and then I was just like, that didn't like sound too good or whatever, because I could like hear it.
Oh.
Didn't feel it, adrenaline going through you during a game, whatever. So I ended up finishing that inning, like got out the inning, got out a little jam, whatever, and came off. And I was only scheduled to throw an inning anyways, so I was done for the day. I went, untied my cleat, looked at my foot, and after like a few seconds of like it being out of the cleat and being like it getting like air and blood flow, it had just like ballooned. And then
Oh.
I was like, oh shit, like I gotta put this cleat back on before anybody sees it and like makes a big deal out of it. So
Oh no.
whatever, I didn't tell anybody. Like at this point, nobody knows that like that happened. um Went back to the apartments that day, barely got any sleep because of the pain started to set in after the adrenaline came down. And then in the morning, I was like, I gotta see the trainer and tell him about it, because this
Oh.
is a little, because I have like a high pain tolerance, but it was to that point to
Yeah.
where like I knew something was up. The trainer didn't take more than like 10-second, 20-second look at it and felt around, asked me like a question or two. And I saw him say, like, I'll be right back. And that's when I knew because like I don't know how much you know about trainers and not just like that team or pro, like trainers in
Yeah.
general know that like players
Yeah.
get sore and all that. So like they can't really like act like everything's a big deal because then it gets in players' heads if they're a little, you know, you got to play through soreness and stuff like as an athlete. But once he walked away and said, "I'll be right back," whatever, I was just like, okay, yeah, nah, and I saw his face, and then he told me we're gonna go get an X-ray, and I was like, okay, like it's probably not good if you think I need an X-ray.
Oh shit.
So we went, got it, pretty clean, like pretty clear to see, clean break, whatever. And then I had the option of like getting a surgery or letting it heal. The surgery was a month quicker recovery time and more of a chance that it would like completely heal. So obviously I took that. Or no, actually, strats at vice versa. The surgery was 3 months and almost a guarantee that it wouldn't fracture again. And then the letting it heal was 2 months with the possibility that it will fracture again. So I took the extra month just as a precaution, because last thing I want is to fracture it again and then I'm out an extra 3 months anyways.
Yeah.
So we did that and you know whatever. And then that time I still would have to show up, get my rehab work done, all that. But it was just such a letdown to be there at and like you know playing pro ball but not really playing, watching guys
Yeah.
play and watching guys pitch, because like I obviously I'm no stranger to failing and all that. Like I would have been completely fine going pitching and getting rocked or not being able to figure out whatever. I don't mind that. I never
Mhm.
have, never will, you know, as long as I'm trying and I know like I'm giving it my all. But that kind of sucked, um, having to watch guys play and not being able to play, knowing that this would probably be my only shot, as a free agent sign and all that. So during that
Wow.
time, I would get back earlier than the other guys just because I couldn't play. So
Yeah.
I would have a bunch of free times. Nobody else in my apartment was hurt. So I'd be by myself, bunch of free time in like boots and crutches, so I can't exactly go take a walk or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuck
Yeah.
in the apartments, and that's where I fell back in love with like reading and writing, like for hours and hours. Because like I've always kept that habit since I was like in high school, but it would
Okay.
be like you know whenever I could, like 30 minutes here, an hour here, something. But this was the first time in a while where I started like journaling every single day, and then reading every single day, like for improvement and all that. And then that became like parts of the day that I would look forward to. And it helped get me, not that I was like in a dark place or anything. I was upset obviously about the situation, but I just kind of took it in stride because that's the way I am. But it definitely did, I think, help me a lot. Just get better mentally because you can always get better, obviously. And uh, after I actually ended up like recovering, like I think 2 or 3 weeks ahead of schedule, like getting
Hmm.
cleared.
Yeah.
So I got cleared on an off day, because it was like a holiday or something.
Yeah.
And then super excited to go out tomorrow. There's a game the next day. I would be on the sheet. I'd be able to pitch.
Yeah.
But the I came in the next day, saw my uniform in there, super cool, whatever. And then I get called into the manager's office, and then you know how that
Oh.
goes. Ended up
Uh,
getting released like basically the day I got cleared to play. So didn't get to throw an actual inning like during the actual season, unfortunately. But it was like I know a lot of guys get emotional, but like I said before, this is just to prove that like I'm not just saying this. Like I wasn't sad, I wasn't upset. Like I was a little like bothered that I didn't get a chance to actually fail, in a real game and all that. Like, but I wasn't like crying. I wasn't sad. I wasn't, you know, torn up. I was in a dark place. I took it pretty much in stride. Like, that's what happened. I can't do anything about it. Just gonna go home, train, try to get somebody else to sign me. Um, but then after a few months of that, and like I said, at this time I had fallen back in love with the writing, reading,
Right.
self-improvement, philosophy, all that. And that started becoming more enjoyable than the baseball part was. And then after a certain point where obviously, like I said, to be good and stay good at baseball, you need to train for hours and hours every day.
Yeah.
So I can't get those hours back. And then I was just like, I'm losing hours of like time I could be reading an extra hour or two or writing more or, you know, building these skills that would help that part of what I like doing. So I was just like, I'm not really into baseball like I was before. So that's when I decided to just stop training after a few months of that and just focusing on what I'm doing now. And I
Do you
it
think this is like a like? Let me ask you a question. Hey, you know those saying everything happens for a reason. Do you think
mhm.
by you getting injured, like that made you like they really get you, like you said, get back in your writing? You know what I mean, right? You know, you're reading a lot, you're writing a lot, you're getting
Yeah.
into philosophy and everything like that. You think that was the point right there to get you back into this? And because you post all the time about it, you have a blog now. You have a love for it. You think that was like it for you? That was it. That's the reason why it happened to get you back into it more.
So I'm always back and forth on that because like I used to think that, but more and more now I think about it, and it's easy like for me to forget unless I really think hard on it. Like times like now where I'm telling you the timeline, because
Yeah,
before I would tell people, yeah, that's what happened. That kind of ignited what I'm doing now. But you got to think from when I got hurt was what was April, I guess, or March
yeah.
to whenever I stopped was like I want to say last September, October. Not this past like 2022, September, October. I think that's right. But that that's a long time from spring to fall. That's a long time that I still was halfway in baseball, halfway not. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that though. Like, because recently I was like, you know what? I should have quit, you know, the second I started falling back in love with the writing. But you never know. It could have been a momentary thing. It could have
Sure.
been. And what I think, I told somebody this recently too.
Okay.
I think it's better to stay in something that you loved for so long a little bit longer than to quit a little bit shorter. Because if you stay a little bit longer, sure, you lost a couple months. Like, sure, I lost a
Yeah.
couple months that I could have been strictly writing and I would have been a better writer, better communicator than I am now. But
Okay.
had I quit even a month too soon to find out that I was done, not just might be done, then there would have been a lot of regret right now. And I would have been wanting to come back to something that, you know, would have been a waste of my time. Like, you know, and I see it all the time. A lot of guys quit too early, like based on where they're at. And then they want to get
Mhm.
back in the game a year or two later because they realize, oh, damn, I should have never quit. And I'm not at that point at all. And I won't ever be because I gave myself plenty of time you know, to realize like that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing anymore. So
Well, I love that, man. Talk about your writing. You're doing the blogs, right? So when you got into writing, and I mean got back into it, because you say you did it at a younger age, and then you got into it now at the baseball. Now you're all good. When did you start your blog?
so that started. So the emails I sent, damn, when did that start exactly? I've been doing it it's always longer than I think when I go back and check, but it's taken different forms because I used to publish on the site. It's called Medium. It's like where a lot of
Okay.
writers post their stuff. And
Okay.
that was like right after the time I decided to do it full time. I tried not to waste too much time. So it was like end of 2022. But what I'm doing now, like where it's straight like my newsletter, my emails that I send directly to people is
Mhm.
I've been doing it I don't even know exactly how long, honestly. I should probably check that, but I've got to think it's at least like 6 months, at least 6 months the way I'm doing it now. And I'm always trying to like add to it.
Yeah.
And like now, like honestly, like part of the reason I've seen a lot of your videos and I love like the way they're clipped up and everything and
Yeah.
the context. And now I want to start doing videos soon as well. Related to
Sure,
what
man.
I'm
It's a
writing
good
about
thing.
every week, you know? So like it'll be something to where
Okay.
like people who are already subscribed to my stuff, they get a little extra context into the stories I pull from in it. And or if somebody doesn't like isn't subscribed to my email and they see it and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, where can I read more about that concept? Then they can just go to my bio and links there and all my writings there and they can, surf through. So that's kind of my thinking with that.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Out of everything you've been through, now, everything, youth, baseball, everything up to now, how much does writing mean to you now?
Everything, honestly. It is like it's the only opinions that I have that I care about come from writing.
That's deep. I
Because
like that.
and I
Explain that right there.
realize,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
cut
I
you off.
will.
Explain that right there.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, it's because it's worth exploring a little bit. I think that people in general, but and I can't speak for everybody. Speaking for me, I'll speak for myself.
Okay.
I have a lot of
Okay.
like knee jerk instant opinions on things that I see, but I don't treat them very seriously. And I think that's like a very big part of like stoicism, that philosophy. And you don't have to have an opinion about everything. And I don't think enough people realize that. Like, because if you aren't informed, for example, politics, I don't ever talk about politics because I don't know exactly how that stuff works. I don't know what they have to do to get there. I don't know how all the branches work and everything. And to be honest, I say that, and I know a bunch of people who know even less than I do, and they have the biggest opinions on that stuff. But that's part of the reason. And I would love someday to become educated on that, and then
Mhm.
I'll have an opinion on it. But I don't like having opinions on things that I can't have a sort of response for everything that you might say to me,
That's key.
because then it's not an informed opinion. So back to the writing part, writing is like there's a bunch of quotes from people I look up to, like successful entrepreneurs, investors, writers, and writing is really thinking. Like there's times that I'll start posts for my newsletter that I'll start it thinking one thing, but then there's something about putting it to words and writing it out and then seeing it and then seeing all the things stacked. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw, I posted a story about like something I wrote in my notebook. It's like basically what I'm writing about now. And
Okay.
that seeing things visually and having to put them into exact words helps me realize like where the weak points are between those points, what makes sense, what doesn't. Because a lot of times for me, I have opinions about things and they're super abstract. I can't really put words to them. It's like that one person you see and you don't know what it is about them, but you don't really like them, you know? It's that sort of things. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think you ever want to treat somebody badly
I
because you
got
have
you.
a feel like, so if that's the case, maybe, you start writing out what this person's done to you, what they've done for you, what they haven't done for you. And then you can come to, okay, well, maybe I was a little valid in the feeling, or like, oh, this person's done nothing but help me. So I shouldn't feel that way. And then slowly your feelings will match that, I feel like. And that's kind of why I think, like for me at least, any opinion I have, has to be validated by the writing.
Brother, I appreciate you. That's a great answer. I'm going to wrap it up on that note right there, man. You've told a great story today. Your journey up and down, man, is like it's actually amazing. And I mean, before we wrap this up, I got a little game for you. Got a little game for you, my young man. Pick and
Yes, sir.
choose 15 questions in 90 seconds. Do you think you can compete with the other victims or participants that I've had before?
Well, one way to find out.
Let's do it, baby. Are you ready to go for this one?
Yes, sir.
You ready? All right. If you could meet any celebrity in the world, who would it be?
Celebrity. Elon Musk. I guess he's not really a celebrity, but pretty famous.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Favorite book?
The Great Gatsby.
Have a roommate or live alone?
Live alone.
Who was the first person? No, who was the first person born? You or your brother?
I was.
Okay. Money or love?
Love.
Wash dishes immediately or pile them up in the sink?
It depends. I try to watch them immediately then.
All right. Books or movies?
Books, 100%.
Arrive early or arrive late?
Early.
Play sports or watch sports?
Play sports.
See or change the past?
See the future.
DMs or text messages?
DMs are actually easier to manage, so I'll say DMs.
All right. Book smarts or street smarts?
I think if you're reading the right books, it is street smarts. So I'll say book smarts.
Leg day or chest day?
Chest day, 100%.
Smartest person in the world or richest person in the world?
Richest person in the world.
128, my man. You just made it.
Damn.
You was lagging there a little bit, brother. Lagging there.
Yeah, there was like two I got hung up
on
on there.
All right. Listen, young man, I want you to get the final segment here. I want you, just in case, like a father of a young man or a young man, he's actually looking at this. He wants to go down that road of, like, you know what, baseball or writing or all the above. Like, what is your opinion? What's like a guidance or something you can give to a young man, young people out today?
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. So you just have to find something that you're completely obsessed with. And I think that goes for whatever you're doing. And it's like the advice. Personally, I enjoy what I'm doing, but I don't think you have to necessarily enjoy it all the time. But I think you need to be obsessed with it and it needs to interest you. Like you can't sleep at night if you don't explore. Like, I can't go to sleep without reading and writing every single day. Like I cannot. And there's times that I've written things that will keep me up at night. And then, I'll be those like 5 seconds away from sleep and I suddenly get a crazy thought. I get my phone out, I'll get a pencil out, a pen, and write it out. There's times I've woken up in the middle of the night, wrote something out after not being able to sleep the whole night, and then I sleep like a baby afterwards because I got it out. And I don't think a lot of people have that thing, and you just need to find that thing. I tried a million different things, but once you find the thing that always has your attention, keep it for as long as you can.
You heard him, ladies and gentlemen. This young man is very special. In my opinion, erases all the stereotypes about young people today. Trust me. Look at him. Check out the story. Jamil, I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much. I'm going to talk to you soon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out, seeing this episode. Let's talk about it. We will see you next week. Peace.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the show. Please subscribe, click on the bio, support the show. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next week for another amazing episode on Let's Talk About It.